Linux Out Loud is firing up our mics, connecting those headphones as we prepare to get rowdy. I'm Wendy, and I'm joined by my fellow co-hosts, Nate and Matt. We're three friends sitting around a virtual table talking Linux, open source tech, gaming, and everything in between. We keep the banter friendly, the conversation somewhat on topic, but we definitely have fun doing it. This week, we're excited to just jump back in after a very long hiatus, so let's get into episode 106.
Was it that long?
It actually has been about a month since we've put out a show last, probably longer than that with all the craziness going on. So welcome back, guys.
Yeah, it's been about a month.
I'm always irritated by Matt, so I didn't miss it, I guess.
That's because
apparently you've had little side conversations in the background, right? Based on what pre-show was like.
I would never.
But that was
actually,
helpful.
Matt's been incredibly helpful, actually. I mean, don't let him know that I'm saying something nice about him. But
I won't tell him. Yeah.
He totally got me out of a jam, as of today. And so I really appreciate him. Earmuffs, Matt. Matt, earmuffs.
Huh? What?
Totally.
Sorry, Nate was talking.
Totally
I zoned out.
Oh, okay. Totally got me out of a jam. It's a jam that I got myself in, and he actually got me out of it. So,
nice.
So thanks,
Very
Wendy,
nice.
for letting me be friends with. Well, not friends. What would you say? Something. Yeah.
Frenemies?
Podcasting frenemies with Matt.
So Nate, actually, I know
he's more like a brother than a friend.
I know there's something that's more of a frenemy to you than me, though, and it's macOS.
No, that's just enemy. That is.
There's no friend in there at all. Yeah.
All right. I know this is this is not where I have any of the. This is not in the notes at all. We're totally off topic already. It's not. It's been 3 minutes. So, I cannot say I understand the appeal of macOS.
Okay.
I don't like Windows, but it's very usable. I think macOS is the most user-hostile machine operating system I've ever used in my life. Now, the old Macs, those are fine. I get those. But the new ones, I think they secretly hate you. They want to hurt you, but they just can't yet. They don't have I would never want to have any Apple AI have any control over anything because it would probably try and murder you in your sleep. Anyway, that said, I'm getting it figured out.
So,
well, I'm glad you're not dead yet.
So to parse that kind of Nate's version of macOS, I will give my take on it very quickly, which is it's kind of like Chrome OS. If you use it the way you have to be in that mind frame to use it. You have to understand where they designed it as is to work as they planned on it. It's very GNOME. And its way, feature, and function. No, I'm just by default, no. Let me restructure without extensions.
Sure. But I don't think GNOME would try and kill you in your sleep. I don't think it's not hostile. It's just it's kind of like it's kind of like dealing with an elderly person at a nursing home, trying to get them to do something you don't want them to do, they don't want to do. It's like you have to coax it along. GNOME is more like that. macOS has a knife behind its back and it's smiling at you. That's what it's doing.
But we're on a Linux show, so let's talk Linux.
Yes.
Right? And Nate, you have some framework fun. Come on, let's get in some cool framework stuff.
All right. I do. So I'm an IT manager for a processing plant. And we had 6 more frameworks come in. And so I got 5 of those configured in the last couple of days. It's intermixed with other things too. And the new Ultra series. And so that was a lot of fun. And I will say, for those that are installing Windows on their framework for whatever reason, we are because we're a Windows shop, Microsoft shop. But there is one framework that's running OpenSUSE Tumbleweed. I bet you can guess whose that might be.
Yours.
Anyway.
Yeah.
How did you guess? Man, you're so good. Man, you're so smart. Anyway, so I will say the setup process in the new Ultra series machines is a little bit better. than the previous 13th generation because it automatically detects if you're trying to install Windows and automatically puts the Wi-Fi module into fallback mode because Windows installer is kind of dumb, so it can't handle the newer hardware. Anyway, so it automatically does that, and so you can install it much quicker and easier. And I noticed they did change the font on the keyboard compared to what I have in the newer ones. That wasn't in any of their announcements, so far as I remember. Not a big deal, it's just a little different, a little smaller. I don't know if I don't like it any better or worse. Keyboard still feels great. Everything about it's great, and yeah, so it's been fun. I enjoy putting them together. Like it is such a joy and a pleasure to put these things together. Assemble them, put the parts in. How easy they are to access, and how easy it is to service them. And stupidly, like related to this, on Sunday, the fan on my framework was making a little noise. I'm like, oh, I haven't blown the dust out of it in a while. Maybe it's getting dusty. So I took it out to Cubicle Labs, my shop, and got the air compressor, which I guess I'm supposed to have a filter on it because you can have like oil particles or whatever. I don't know. That's what somebody told me on I don't know if it was Mastodon or Twix. Somewhere. Anyway, apparently it's supposed to have a filter on it. And also apparently you can put too much pressure on a fan and end up blowing the thing apart. And so the blades all flew out of the fan. And so I went into kind of a panic mode. Now, I did actually write about this and put on cubiclenet.com to put my stupidity out there on display to say, you know what, I'm really not that smart. I'll just ask Matt. He knows. I kind of went into panic mode because like everything I do for not only like personal stuff, I know you shouldn't mix personal with work, but like because I don't want to carry 2 laptops with me, I do everything on this one laptop. And so I got it beefed up to do everything I needed to do. And I'm like, ooh, if this thing isn't working, I'm in trouble. So I that pink computer I usually have over here somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, it's in pieces now. I robbed the fan out of that one and put it in mine so I could be functional. I did apologize to my daughter for tearing apart a computer. She was okay with it. She understood. And I didn't care. Anyway, so so I'm doing that right now until I get a new fan in, and then I can do the swapperoo back to where things should be. But the nice thing is swapping a fan out on the framework, super easy, barely an inconvenience, really. It's 6 screws. You got to just like rethermal paste it. It's got pads for the other different little like chips and such on there. It took me longer to read through the process because I was trying to be careful reading through the process. That took me longer than actually swapping out a fan. So it's almost like Framework had a numpty like myself in mind when they put things together. Like, some Dingledorf is going to blast this thing apart. So let's go ahead and make this thing easy to service. And they did.
So I'm looking at the picture that you have posted there on Cubicle Nate, and I will be showing it here at this very moment. And wow, that is like, I have to...
Impressive.
Yes. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very nice work.
Yeah. What I think the part that like pause and think, the part that should be amazing to everybody is somebody hired me to be in charge of IT for 2 processing plants. And that's the part that should be concerning.
Well, obviously you still work there, so they apparently think you're doing a pretty good job.
In fact, when I told somebody, they like, oh, is that the first thing you broke? So
nope.
Anyway, no, I haven't. I broke many other things. I just totally ham-fisted the entire thing. But anyway, so I try to make it, I try to make the article a little bit funny, using some excessive alliterations and such, just because. But anyway.
Yes, absolutely. So you're going to have to check this out. Definitely.
I probably should turn into like a short or a video or something, but I don't have the time for that right now.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Life's kicking my butt.
Got it.
Speaking of kicking, Matt, you got a kicking new GPU?
Yes, I did. Another piece of hardware. So I think I'm, as far as
what are you up to now?
I think personal expenses, I think I'm being late by quite a hefty margin at the moment. Anyway,
wait, real quick question on that.
Yes.
Based on those numbers, before I forget, because I'm a little bit of a goldfish, if I buy a monitor stand Is that considered a technology purchase, or is that considered a furniture?
No. Like hardware.
So like a monitor arm, like the one I bought over here, would that be considered furniture or computer hardware?
No. Like technology, like functional technology. So like GPUs.
And I'm doing great this year so far.
Like hardware.
But I'm not counting that fan.
Not any. So yeah.
I'm not saying I'm good with what I've bought, but I've bought it, so it is what it is. Yeah. So I picked up a Radeon RX 7800 XT. So that is the second to top end model of the 7000 series. 16 gigs of whatever VRAM is currently using, DDR6 or whatever it is currently. So the reason was I was running on a NVIDIA RTX 4060, the TI, which is the 16 gig version, which that's fine. But I can't really test based on the GPU for AMD that I currently have, which is I have an old RX 580, which is 8 gig. So, well, the tower is now running on a Linux base, and we'll leave it at that, which is currently running Garuda. So I have found some interesting things that I really don't like about AMD on Linux, though. Why does it take over a year for your stuff to mature? Every time.
Yeah.
So here's for those that don't know, fan curves for about 6 months until I think it was the 6.9 kernel were not a thing. It was whatever BIOS on the GPU said the fan speed would ramp up to is what it ramped up to. That was it. You had the temperature controls on the GPU. That was it. You could not tweak where the fan curve started. You could not do any of that. They recently, you couldn't mess with the voltage. You couldn't like just like basic functionality. Because like I like a 20% gradient essentially on my GPU at all times for the fans, just to keep it cool, but low enough. If I do some light gaming, it's fine. That kind of stuff, emulation, whatever. But I don't need them running at 100% because I'm not doing, rendering or 3D printing or whatever. But you couldn't even do that. There was it is like, I believe the default was the fans don't kick on until like 55 degrees. And then they gradually go up based on the BIOS of the GPU. You had, so things like core control, things like, I can't remember the other name, is another, it's like another version of core control, but it's done in GTK as opposed to QT or whatever, vice versa. None of them worked for, think like Green with Envy, but not working at all. So it was super annoying because I know Wendy, you had that problem with Green with Envy when you were trying to run it on, was it X, I think, or no, Wayland or something, because there wasn't quite working.
Wayland Green with Envy just won't launch at all.
Yeah. So it
has to be used under X.
Yeah, which is essentially the same kind of problem. It's super annoying. And the fact that a lot of these features are just getting implemented based on the kernel patch, essentially, is super, super annoying, especially if you're on bleeding edge. Yeah. And I'm a year over where these cards are. Like, they're announcing the 9000 series for AMD now. Like, that's... Say what you want about NVIDIA, and I'm not saying they're perfect or they're great. But generically, at least I can expect the card to work to its mostly full potential.
For the most part, they've had plenty of issues this launch. Plenty of issues the last two launches.
I'm not saying they haven't been good. They've been perfect. But what I'm saying is stuff like this, I'm not going to see basic functionality a year later.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that is ridiculous.
Like fan curves, undervolting, all that stuff you couldn't do at all.
Now, could you do that with like there was some application you told me to try out and I use it.
Core control.
I can't remember what it's called. Yeah,
core control.
So it doesn't even work with that?
It was the way that the drivers were implemented into the kernel. AMD does this thing where they just peg a kernel release, and that's where the features land. So you can be waiting 3 to 6 months for that feature to come into the kernel. So like there was stuff in 6.6.9 that landed into, whatever version of Linux you're running. Cool. Yeah. Then the next iteration of stuff didn't drop until 6.13, which was in the beginning of this year. Which is absurd to me, given the length of time these cards have been out. But overall, what?
Are you using Garuda? You said Garuda though, right?
Mm-hmm. So I'm using Garuda.
Okay. And so even though you're using
he
Garuda,
should have the latest kernel.
The latest, yeah.
Well, it's the problem with Garuda is it's the latest Zen kernel.
Okay, gotcha.
So I have both kernels. I have the regular upstream kernel, and I have the Garuda Zen kernel that they use. So either way, all that aside, besides my complaints about AMD and their obnoxiousness of still not fixing some of their support stuff, $450 for a 16 gig second highest tier card. I'm not going to complain about too much about as far as
it's gone up since then, which I mean, to be fair, they all have, but so you got it at the right time to buy a graphics card.
For once. I did not get I did not spend another $500 for a 3060 like I did on the last time, which that made me cry.
The thing is, I was like, okay, I'm going to wait for the 50 series to launch, the 40 series to drop, and then I can upgrade this year. I'm not upgrading this year. Not at the current rate of things.
Nope. I don't blame me. But
no.
So that it's been an interesting thing. Ray tracing is still definitely a big kick in the performance pants, as it were. It's about probably, depending on the game, about a 40% hit on AMD compared to NVIDIA. Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, it's basically AMD just brute forces it. It's kind of like when they were on the Radeon 7s. They just kind of brute force the performance as opposed to actually like optimizing the performance. Mm-hmm. So as far as for games and stuff, for ray tracing.
So have you tried other kernels besides the Zen kernel, or is there a reason why you're using the Zen kernel specifically? And maybe I just don't know.
That's generically just the one that Garuda ships with. It doesn't ship with a default kernel. Okay. I do have the actual like inline kernel, not the Zen kernel, available that I'm currently using, but that's more of the RC release, not the more stable, I guess would be the accurate term.
Right.
Like I said, the thing that bothers me is just the way they peg the feature releases based on kernel releases that can have 3 to 6 months between them. It's just super annoying. As a user looking for basic functionality, because like I fired up core control, I was like, okay, I'll just tweak these fan curves and call it good. Oh no, you can't do that at all. Until I messed around, and so like you'll see a lot of that. Performance wise, it's stellar. Like I can't complain about it. I have a Windows system that's RTX 4070, but it's only 8 gigs. I've been playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on that. That gets sporadically anywhere between 40 to 60 on high settings or ultra setting or at 1080p.
Nice.
Nice. On this, I get over 100 somewhere between 60 to 100 at 1080p ultra settings. So, and it's much smoother. I don't have, so again, it's relative to what you're looking for. I would say if you're in the neighborhood for a GPU, regardless of OS, $500 for that particular card is not terrible. It is your best price to performance card you're going to find currently.
Right.
Would I spend $500 on it again? I don't plan on upgrading the GPU anytime soon. After dropping, $1,000 on GPUs in the last year and a half, I'm good.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. You've been going GPU crazy.
So other than that, I'm good. I mean, I have the 4060, the 2060. I have I don't have the 3060 anymore. Somebody else has that. And I got this one. So I'm good as far as that. But yeah, it's been interesting experience going back to AMD and being like, wish some of this stuff kind of worked. Because at least once I figured out the issues with like NVIDIA, it was like, oh, I have to use Envy Control as opposed to Green with Envy, because Green with Envy required X.
yeah.
Envy Control allowed me to use, Wayland. So
Right.
stuff like that, cool. Those are simple fixes. That's based on just your display manager. Not so much when it's the hardware itself.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't let you do that. The thing is my oldest daughter is getting ready to build her first computer. Like, so we've built one together that was for all of the kids, but she's getting ready to build the first one that's just hers. And the worst part is the graphics card prices are so flippin' horrible. Just absolute horrible that I'm like, well, maybe you build it and hold off on a graphics card.
This is just an aside. Not for nothing, but now, Matt, don't like lose your hat over this. But I had a good experience with an Arch-based distribution on Linux Saloon.
Is it the one that
I heard about that? A little birdie was there.
Is this the one I think it is? It starts with a C.
CachyOS. I think it's actually really quite good. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, it's still built on Arch, so it's it's a house of cards. But the overall experience and the fact that how you could very easily, like even nicer than the way they do it in OpenSUSE, you can change what kernels you want to use very cleanly, and so if you want to try other kernels out, so I mean, I don't know. I know you're in the Garuda space, but I'd be interested in seeing if there are any differences between the kernels that they offer and how that would work with your GPU. I was like pleasantly surprised, maybe because my expectations were so low that you could trip over that bar. But yeah, it was actually quite pleasant. And I think,
nice.
That seems like, not that I would. I'm very happy here on Tumbleweed, but if I needed an escape hatch, that seems like actually a pretty decent escape hatch.
If I remember, it's been a while since I've messed around specifically after installing from the initial boot of Garuda stuff. There used to be you could select which kernel you were using from as Garuda system manager, I think is the name of the app that allows you to like download kernels and install them through the app.
It was just like a little click. I want to try this one. Boop. And that was it. I mean, it wasn't just boop and that was it. But yeah. I mean, it was a very trivial process. And so I'm going to keep that. Yeah, I'm going to keep that distribution around. I'm going to probably hop into it from time to time just to see how it's going.
Cool. Oh, no, interesting.
Cool. It was definitely interesting to hear you guys talk about it on a Linux Saloon this last Saturday. I was listening, but not actually participating. I think I was
lurking,
just kind of chilling. Actually, it wasn't. I'd had all my work done. I did get caught up on some DL stuff earlier on Saturday. But by like Saturday night, all of Sunday, I was ready to just like chill and not do anything.
And speaking of chilling and not ready to not do anything, it's time for the robotics conversation. So Matt mentally checks out.
Well, it's an update. It's an update on the teams, right? Because last time we talked, I think we were getting ready for FLL State, if I remember correctly. And so like we're way behind because that took place, what was it, like the 26th of January? So yeah, we're definitely rolling on like a month between the last shows that we've had. 25th of January was when FLL State was. And I'm happy to announce that they did win the Northern Idaho Champions Award. and they will be headed to California at the end of May. So they were a little bummed that they didn't get that ticket to Worlds. There was a head-to-head between them and North Idaho, and they were a little bummed they didn't get the Worlds ticket. But after some talk and some of the fun, exciting things that they can see over in Long Beach, they were super stoked. So they get to head to Long Beach at the end of May. And then I also get to help out with an FTC team, which Nate, you've got to experience this year, FTC. And our FTC state was February 8th. And they took home the top score for Idaho for the season and are the winning alliance captain. So that's a ticket to Worlds, and second place Inspire. So Inspire is the top judged award. So pretty exciting. That means they're headed to Houston. I've already talked to Matt at the beginning of the show that we've got some fundraising going on. We've got lots of money. Yes, lots
Time
of
to play
money
Among
to
Us.
raise for 2 teams. Ooh,
Did
that's a good idea.
Did I say I would play Among Us on this one, though? I don't think I said yes to
but
that.
It would be cool.
I haven't played it in a while. It'd be worth the play.
Yes, yes,
I don't
absolutely.
Know. I don't know if it would be a 24-hour stream. It would be a long stream, but I don't know if I'm doing 24 hours.
Well, I plan to help out with it, so it definitely won't be 24 hours. We might do one of LOL's
23.
live stream also. 23 hours. We might do a live stream of LOL as part of that.
Tell you what,
that fundraiser spot. Yeah.
Just spitballing here. I haven't taken any time off this year or last year for that matter. Actually, I did take a week off last year, but anyway, I'd be willing to take time off to be part of this fundraiser, streaming, or whatever other carrying on that we do. So
okay,
I'm not very cool. I'm not very entertaining, and I run out of words very quickly. I mean, the reason I don't do many videos
like, if
of
it
myself,
was the 3 of us together for 24 hours, our filter for live streams would slowly degrade, and then we'd roll into
What do you mean slowly?
I was going to say, I think
quickly degrade.
There is no edit.
It would rapidly devolve and come off the wheel. Things would come unraveling really quickly.
One.
Yeah,
I might need a cut scene for live. Have it on a 10-second delay and be able to pop up one of those content edit that I do for the edited show.
Yep. Yes.
You could hot button that. You do realize in OBS.
I think I'm going to have to, right? Like, I'm going to have to play with that. We might have to talk about it and see how that's going to work. The service that we plan on using does allow us to also do an auction. So my son has been learning how to make knives. So there's a couple knives that have been made that will be auctioned off to help raise money. And if anybody has anything they would like to donate, we'd gladly take that as part of the auction for it. So we're pretty excited. They've earned this. They've worked hard. It's been stressful. The Coils robot, what was it? Like, drive practice was the Wednesday before state. And I got a text message from my co-mentor that says, check your email. So I know that's bad, right? When you get a message that says, check your email, like, holy crap, which was one of the servos. So the servo horn was attached and you could see the servo spinning inside and the servo horn not moving. Not good. Major issue for part of the scoring element on their robot. So I did not edit DL that week. It was kind of an oh crap. I told Michael, I'm sorry to leave you on such short notice, but I'm basically living at the build room and I need to be able to do whatever the kids ask of me over the next few days because state's coming up. So I think we left the build room Thursday night. It was after 11, probably getting pretty close to midnight, which I've got like 45-minute hour drive from the build room to home. And then we were back at the build room at 8 a.m. to help the coder so we'd actually have an autonomous for state. It all paid off, right? They did it. They're headed to Worlds, but they do like to cause lots and lots of stress. Lots of stress. So that's why I was happy to do nothing this last weekend.
Oh, it's totally understandable. I don't think I told you this, but the reason we didn't go on to the next stage with FTC with my oldest.
Yeah, because I did look you guys up on FTC Scout. So you competed in one qualifier. You were part of another one, but you didn't run your robot based on what it said?
No, because it had a catastrophic failure, and we couldn't put it back together in time.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah. So the upshot is now my son, he's doing the high school robotics, so he's he was disappointed, but he got to do that, and then he's able to do some stuff with the FRC as well.
FRC,
as far as so they're going to do some fundraiser stuff and everything else. So he's really excited about participating in that.
Nice.
Like basically, he's straddling them both right now, and so he's having a lot of fun with this. He did miss today, though. I did tell you this. A little under the weather, but it's kind
poor
of
kid.
Yeah,
it is.
But he's got a lot of passion for the robotics, and so it means I know that I don't have to worry about him living in my basement eating Cheetos and watching Star Trek. I mean, he can do those things, but just not living in my basement. So
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And
that's kind of cool. Like I know your guys' FTC state is crazy early as far as like when most places hold their state.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see how your FRC season goes. We've had a couple members of a team help us out a lot this year. They've volunteered at a couple of the scrimmages we've hosted. They volunteered at FLL events. They volunteered at FTC state. And so I've gotten to know a couple of the kids on the one FTC team pretty good. I'm not sure if I'm going to volunteer for their state. I think it might be way more fun to just sit in the stands and be able to cheer like a crazy person as I do. I have video of our team's like finals runs. And when I'm watching them back, I realize like I really am that like crazy parent that's like backseat driving as they're running, but I realize it.
You're like a crazy soccer mom, but robotics.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Yep.
That's awesome. Do you have on the back of your car, so instead of have like the family things, but you have like different robots, like maybe like a
that would be cool. I should.
ATST,
I absolutely should.
Short circuit.
I do have a sticker on my water bottle that's written in Python code that says basically it's got a loop built into it that if Wendy has coffee, Wendy is happy, and if Wendy doesn't have coffee, Wendy isn't happy. One of the kids on the FTC team had stuck a sticker on me that said robot moves on initialization. It's one of the things they have to have on the robot.
Mm-hmm.
And that got pulled off, and I'm like, ooh, I need a sweater that says robot moves on initialization. I've got like a ton of things that I need. I actually got myself a new water bottle. It's 1/2 gallon, and where we've got the laser cutter, like that's the things that are going to be engraved in it. Both the team logos, all of those fun robot things. The watch out, I may randomly talk about robots, 3D printing, and Linux. So be careful if you get me started. I'll struggle to stop.
I say full speed ahead, Captain. Just go for it.
Well, good.
It's a great big stupid world. Everything is coming unraveling apart. Just have fun on the way out,
Just have fun. Yes.
Just have fun.
Yes, that for the most part I am. For the most part it's a ton of fun. It's fun to watch the kids grow and all of that stuff. But while we're knocking out championships and on our way to worlds, you are getting some projects knocked out.
I built another OPNsense box out of WatchGuard XTM Series 5 from 15 years ago. I don't know how old the thing is. But it's old. It's retired. It required a RAM upgrade because which is one of the technology purchases I made, Matt. So that was all of $14.84 for 4 gigabytes of DDR
big spender
2 memory that this needed. Mm-hmm. Non-ECC memory, by the way. Anyway, so I got it all set
Big
up. I got to
spender,
do some
Nate.
final
Big
testing,
spender.
and I'm going to be, yeah, I know, right? And it's going to be for my church. I'm taking it there to like redo I do some network stuff there. Apparently now that, people know that I do like tech professionally, they ask me for help. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I'll help you out. And then, like the school has asked me for help too, although they haven't actually followed through on that. But yeah, so it just seems like whatever like little tech projects I have, I'm trying to just like knock things out, kind of clean stuff up. I got like that. I got done, well, mostly done. It's not fully configured yet, but I'm hoping to get that done in the next probably week or so, and then I'll be implementing that. And what that's going to come down to is I need to we'll start like putting some like some IDF cabinets, intermediate, was it something frame, something IDF. Anyway, some cabinets for like some switches, PoE switches, and I'm hopefully going to be upgrading the wireless there as well. But anyway, yeah, so just little nitnoid things. It's not that exciting. OPNsense is actually really great to work with. I know that's BSD, and we're Linux out loud, not BSD out loud, but it's kind of like the estranged cousin of Linux. They're kind of all related, sort of. OPNsense is really easy to install. Now, the fun thing about installing Linux OPNsense on this is there's no display on it at all. Like there's no video card. So to do an installation is a little bit more exciting. I have to serial into it. So I use Minicom from my computer, and when I turn the thing on, I basically set some parameters, and then it kind of comes through like BBS style, basically, you could say. And so doing the install through that, it's pretty easy to do. If you've done a text installer, like running Debian terminal, basically ncurses install, not much more difficult, about the same as that, as long as you know what you're doing. And then but it's just kind of fun. It's a little more hackery feeling. I don't know. I like it. Anytime I get to use like serial communication, I get all excited. I don't even know why I get excited. It's like I want the computer to say, "Do you want to play a game?" Stuff like that. But and for you old people, not you young people, but you old people who've seen war games, you would know what that's from. I just said it, war games. Anyway, so that's one of the big things. It's one of those projects that's just been nagging. It's been sitting here. I got it done. I got it downstairs on my server rack so I can do some final configurations, and then it's good to go.
I find the name of this release quite entertaining, the Ultimate Unicorn. It looks pretty cool. I don't know that I have a need for it. I'm glad you're finding use for like more open source project in both home and work applications. It's just really cool to hear about how you're able to use this in a large production system for IT.
I think we're going to end up for the plant, because we have to do some changes on the production side, because it's got to be segregated out. It's segregated out now, but they want to make it a more tortured path. I'm going to look at trying to, instead of buying more WatchGuard devices, which are really expensive. I know that they're, industrial grade, whatever. But I think this, like OPNsense, you can buy devices from them. And I'm going to propose that we go with them for future implementations, because I think the interface is way better. It doesn't have the same sort of high expense to operate. And the way you do firewall rules, I like it way better in OPNsense than in WatchGuard as well. So,
oh, wow.
Anyway, yeah. It's going to be a lot more
Well,
fun.
they even have desktop
rules.
security appliances, so it kind of covers the full gamut. Not that I would buy this for me, but it's just kind of interesting to see the options that they have available for hardware straight from them. So I know this is older hardware that you went ahead and put this on, but it seems to be running fine. You're getting out of it exactly what you need. Nice.
Yep. So far. I mean, I have one just like it already that I've been using for almost a year now. Something like that. I don't know how long. I haven't done a write-up on it yet, because I've been changing how I've been using it, and I haven't fully done everything I want to do yet, because I got to buy some. I don't think this should count, Matt, but I want to buy some PoE gigabit switches. I just haven't decided on what I want yet, because I want to start to kind of up the ante here in my house, my cubicle estate, as it were, between the different buildings. and start doing stuff with like, VLANing things off and so forth. So I've already got the framework for it, but I don't have framework. But I don't have it totally executed yet. So I need to work on that yet. And I'm still learning to some things, it's one thing to administer something that's already been set up. It's another thing to set up something fresh. When you don't fully know what you're doing. Those are two different things. But Matt, you are working on a collection of offline benchmarking tools. Now, this is interesting, and rarely do I say this about anything that you do, but what is this?
So, ironically, it is about being less perpetually online. So, a lot of these tools are going to be initially you do need an online some type, but you can throw them on a hard drive or whatever kind of external thing you want to put them on. And you always have tools to actually benchmark your stuff. So new hardware, all that stuff. It is literally all right there. So what I'm doing is things like Unigine Heaven, things like superposition, things like there's a lot of tools that are available. Geekbench, Cinebench, all the random tools, regardless of OS. It is a very big collection of stuff that I'm basically throwing together, plus a list of GOG specific games that have built-in benchmark tools. That way people can test their hardware, and I'm currently aiming at most of the high-end stuff that GOG offers as far as games. So Cyberpunk 2077, right now, like this one's running Horizon Zero Dawn benchmark. So like, just various games that have built-in tools. Batman Arkham Knight is another game that has a built-in benchmark tool to it. So that way, once you have these games and these tools installed, you can benchmark to your heart's content. Because I find it, this is kind of the venture of me going more offline and less perpetually online as far as like services and all this other stuff. It's just kind of a continuation of that route that I've been going down as far as initial reliance on it. But once you have it, and you don't have to worry about it. And that to me is something that I've just been wanting more control over the tools and the stuff that I am able to use without insert company X, Y, or Z, services going away, entertainment going away, et cetera, et cetera. So this just kind of continues that trend. But if you're, hardware junkies, like a lot of us are on here, as far as I'm probably the biggest one though.
I don't know. Junkie is a term I would use for me.
No. The stuff you have is just, I'm sorry, you have is just a lot of junk.
It's just junk. Yeah.
But as far as just like, we all like the new shiny things and look at the benchmarks and all the other stuff. But it's right. Sometimes those benchmarks aren't necessarily reflective based on like this system here is not going to be reflective of whatever some other person's build is going to be, because I might have chose a different CPU and different RAM combination or, whatever. So it's stuff like that where I think having those tools offline and just always available to you is something that we're missing a lot of. And like there is a need to be online for it initially, but it's like, again, once you have them, it's like ordering a book through a magazine. You don't have the book, but once you actually order it, order the book, you kind of got it for however long it stays put together based on the binding and stuff. And that to me, again, is a lot of the offline stuff is really key to me right now. Ironically, this system that's running this is the secondary minis forum system that I have thrown the emulation drive at. That is the new emulation system. So I have 46,000 games or some astronomically stupid number based on the hard drive, and I have about 150 games installed based on the actual local storage that's on the system from GOG. One thing Windows does not like when you tell it not to go online ever. I thought macOS was bad.
What?
But
what is it? Is Windows addicted to the online life? Is it?
It wants you to be, but when you tell it not to, it doesn't really like it. Because literally, I have disconnected I disabled the actual network adapter in Device Manager, so it would stop looking for it. Because I got tired of it trying to perpetually go online.
Wow.
So I will just delete you from the entire thing. Go away.
Yeah, that works.
But again,
it's kind of like the scorched earth method, but okay.
Generically, that's how you have to do anything in Windows is scorched earth. So again, it's tools and stuff that allow us to benchmark our systems and see where we're actually at from a performance perspective. That I'll probably throw up like somewhere maybe on a GitHub but it's a fairly large file stack, so a lot of different programs, a lot of different apps. There's CPU testing, there's CPU testing, GPU tests, there's RAM speed testing. There's like the whole Phoronix test suites in there for command line stuff. There's GUI based tools. There's command line based tools. It's all over the place. List the games that I'm working on as a file for adding for built-in benchmarks. For the reason specifically for GOG is, again, it's offline. It's not online. I could use like Steam and that stuff, but the idea is to have these available offline. So if you have those games offline, you already know which ones to test with.
So where will you be putting out this list so that people can find it?
Once I feel like I have enough benchmarks like to actually give, like GOG doesn't highlight a lot of these things. Don't highlight like their built-in benchmarking tools. So like you have to dig, like, so if I wanted to benchmark Crisis is kind of a pain because you have to dig all the way down into it and then find the built-in benchmark. And that, so I'm looking for ones that are like readily basically accessible and just like, oh, go in the game menu, graphics, benchmark, there we go. Like I'm looking for like the dumb I'm looking for the dumb simple ones. So that, because benchmarking is, for some people it's a game, for other people it's a chore, for other people it's I want to know what my system does. I'm kind of more it's a chore, but I want to know what my system does. The tools and everything else will probably end up on a GitHub somewhere. I probably will catch me some legalese flack, but it's it's a zip file, so do what you do with it.
Not that I'm offering, but I'd be interested in digging into those benchmarking tools too, just because I like to play. And, I could probably write up a little thing and then potentially give you some credit in a sort of backhanded way, I suppose.
No. See,
perfect. And sounds about right.
Nate, you will give not just the backhand, but I also get the front hand.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
Wendy, content edit.
Because like cpubenchmark.net, I think it is, or .com, I don't know. I use like the Pasmark score. I like to run those just to see what my systems, how my systems
what's
perform.
going on, what it does. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I know it's a really basic benchmarking, but I did do a write up on that because I like to just see how does this compare. It's very basic. It's just doing like RAM and memory testing, speed. It gives me just kind of a number. It's a synthetic benchmark that is largely meaningless. Because really what it comes down to is, how well does it perform doing specific tasks? Is it acceptable? And for me, it's like, is it acceptable or is it unacceptable? Or is it like barely acceptable, I guess? So
gotcha, yeah.
And for the most part, can I play the games I like, which aren't very demanding, except for the Lego games. Those are I guess the newer ones. And then
those are definitely more demanding,
YouTube?
Yes.
So for those that want to know currently what's on the list of stuff, there is a Final Fantasy 15 benchmark tool. I got Furmark, Chaos, Corona, Resident Evil 5 benchmark, Ferox Test Suite, Resident Evil 6 benchmark, Street Fighter 5 benchmark, Unigine Superposition, and Unigine Valley, all as graphical based tools to test your system, except for some Ferox is not. But those are the ones that I currently have. Corona is a CPU app. Ironically, those applications, those game-specific applications, you install them through Heroic as an exe, and hey, look, they work.
Wow.
And I mean,
Interesting.
it detects it as a Windows system when when you pop it up for like the score. But those are the ones that I currently have because those are the ones that are free. And
Gotcha. Yeah.
really, what I'm looking for is like kind of like a centralized collection of stuff where it's just like, here's some gaming stuff just to test your system and see what you can actually get. Because laptop, I mean, one, two, like I have way too many systems that I've like, oh, what can this system, like the 3-in-1 tablet there that I got. It's like, what can this system actually do? Well, okay, now I got to go and download all these other random applications from various sites, or I can have a list with one file that I unzip and all the benchmarks are right there. That to me is far more more useful use of my time. Wendy, you seem to be trying something different and complimenting Fedora by actually using it.
Well, I'm not using it yet. So it's one of the things on the to-do list that I haven't actually gotten to. But we did get a comment from a listener that asked why I'm going from an Arch base, so been using Garuda, and to Fedora. What's the reason I'm choosing Fedora? What's so good about Fedora that makes it
I know
my
why.
choice?
I know why. House of Cards.
No. I'm still having some printing issues with my Garuda systems. And I did get a tip on one way that I might be able to fix it, and I still haven't gotten around to doing that specific thing itself. So over the course of using Linux for me,
Resolve.
we yes, and DaVinci Resolve, right? But I have made it clear that I'm not big on the universal packages, and if I have to use one, then I would prefer it be a flat pack over the snap. And snaps are very, very heavily integrated into Ubuntu, including even the browsers. And so that's kind of one of the deciding factors for me is I'd rather go Fedora in that instance. Yes, it's going to take some more initial setup time. And then I know this is like going to give Matt the heebie-jeebies, but I prefer DNF over apt. Like, I just do, right? I like DNF more than I like apt.
That's because DNF is actually much better than apt.
Actually, you're not wrong.
What? Wait,
So-
what?
No, my issue with DNF was always more
Am I
of the
taking crazy pills?
no. My issue with DNF was a lot of the same issues that I took with initially with flat packs. Nate, you talked about archaic with like or unintelligible with Pac-Man. The initial DNF was either slow because pulling down the repos was a pain, or it was archaic in its initial releases. Those are my issues with DNF. Personally,
In all fairness, DNF used to stand for does not finish.
yeah, we
now
know.
it's great.
So, in fairness, no, you are correct. I have my issues with DNF.
Mhm.
I also have issues with app, but app is more what got me into Linux on a more of a full-time basis. So that's more what
Gotcha.
I know. I do know DNF. I know RPM and all that stuff, but like that's
Right.
it's like coming from Arch or whatever, and just that's the package manager the best. Same deal.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the
And I
headaches.
started with DNF. DNF was really like the first package manager that I used. So it kind of feels like home base. I mean, I've gotten used to Pac-Man. Like I currently use it all the time. And it would be nice if I could take a base Ubuntu system and kind of have, what I needed and not have to build the additional packages into Fedora. But overall, I just really like the basis of Fedora better. And that's why I'm going to be going down that route. I still don't have that file from Bill as to how he set up his scripts for install systems. This weekend, I did think about going ahead and installing Fedora on my laptop when I was just chilling, but I didn't want to get in a position that I had to get it working because I am going to need the laptop this week to edit. So we're recording this on a Tuesday. Tomorrow I will edit this show and then I'll be on DL. And then I'll export DL files and then edit DL on Thursday plus do robotics because we're headed out of state again on Friday. Go team. So literally my mobile working system does need to be worked on this week. But it's still in the works. It's still on the wish list of things to get done. But that's personally why I chose Fedora. I do think that distros, as Matt has put it, it depends on, what you need and even like system by system basis, right? What is best for the system? What are you going to use it for? And so you're kind of picking and choosing as to what's the best overall. For me, for a long time, it's been an Arch base. Having printing not working quite correctly is a pain, especially where now I do have the photo printer up and working. So I have a laser, an inkjet, a sublimation, and a photo printer that all need to work that we're using on a regular basis. So I print more than most.
That's cool. You have so many.
Just putting it out there.
You have so many printers. I personally don't like printers. And even 3D printers, what I find valuable, still irritate me. But
I don't say they don't irritate me, but because they definitely do. But I need them, right? They're a part of my life. The photo printer has actually done some of my daughter's artwork recently, and then for both the FLL and FTC teams, some of their presentation materials were printed on it. So
yeah, it makes sense. I had a label printer at work, a Zebra printer. I really wanted, it's called Zebra is the name of the company that makes it. Personally, I wanted to take a crowbar to it, but I can't do that. They're very expensive printers. So it took me a while to figure out how to get the thing to recognize that, yes, it does indeed have paper in it. So basically the eye was slightly out of adjustment, whatever.
So Nate,
so
are those the annoying portable little printers?
No, this is like a pretty big one. It has like almost like a gulp, like a, I don't know how to, the side panel open thing on it's even complicated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
like a gigantic receipt printer.
Yeah, it's for labeling pallets, but and it uses direct thermal transfer. But yeah, it was a big pain in the rear. Honestly, I don't know what caused it to be upset, but I had to move the sensor like all the way to one side of it because it couldn't pick up where the label was and wasn't. So it said it was out of media, and then it's not telling me what the error is. It's just saying it's out of media. Like, you're not out of media. You got paper right there. Can't you sense that there's paper there? But no, it could not. Anyway,
right.
Yeah. But I got it fixed.
Yeah.
And also, it was in a refrigerated warehouse, and I hate the cold with a passion.
Ooh.
And and even though I got a coat on and a sweatshirt coat, and I got multiple layers on, I was still miserable.
I do have to say, you live in the wrong part of the country to not like cold. Yeah.
This is true. Yeah, well, I mean, because I spent some of my life in a desert, like quite a few years of it. And so I've never really reacclimated to the cold, but I'm not going to move any place warm. So
you're just going to deal with it for the rest of your life. It is what it is.
Well, here's the thing. So I heard, or maybe I read, I don't know, that if you move to a warmer climate, you can live like 5 to 10 years longer. And I just don't want to chance it.
Okay, note to self. Nate does not want to live longer than absolutely necessary.
Right.
Oh, goodness.
No, the thing is, like, Michigan is very green and nice. I mean, like we got
In the
trees
summer.
grow. Yeah. All 3 weeks of summer are great, and but like it's so nice and
3
green here. I
weeks.
like the trees. Yeah, it's about three, maybe 4 weeks of summer basically we get here
Uh-huh. Yeah.
in lower Michigan. I mean, really, it's really not much more than that. I mean, I guess you might be able to say June and August are also summer, but they barely qualify, in my opinion.
So are they like in or late spring and intro to fall kind of things?
Yeah. So basically, you have like winter's about 6 months out of the. This is the way I'm going to say it. People can tell me that I'm wrong, but winter's like 6 months out of the year, and then you have like spring goes into basically June. It used to be
Okay.
April showers bring May flowers. Now it's like May showers bring June flowers. Something like that. Because it's like it doesn't normally get really warm until June, like tolerably warm, and then by September it's already you can feel winter is coming.
Mm-hmm.
So White Walker's going to start walking. But anyway, man, I just feel like it's really cold here all the time. And someone's going to tell me like, oh no, winters aren't like they used to be. I'm like, I don't know. There's just so much snow out there right now. I mean, at least I have a heated cubicle labs. Like actually, my vehicles are on
that
cubicle
is
labs.
Nice. We're fluctuating between snow and just warm enough to have mud, and so we're in this like weird limbo right now between it's snowing and freezing. Now it's just warm enough to melt and be muddy and track mud like everywhere. It's fun. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I partially remedied that by putting a lot of paver stones along the backside of my house. So I got like I didn't do a very good job, but I put a lot of paver. I got a lot of paver stones, and I've been pushing the mud away further and further from the house. So this year I want to push it
slowly pushing it backwards. Nice. I like that idea. Very much so.
Mm-hmm. It does generate new problems, but we'll deal with those as those problems,
as they come up. Yes, absolutely.
But that said, welcome to Fedora whenever you get there. I think Fedora is great. I think that might be my.
I will probably get there after the FTC team goes to Worlds, hopefully before the FLL team goes to California. But I would like to get it on there sometime. I'm now like occasionally editing some smaller stuff for Michael. So there's times I'm still editing on like a Monday or Tuesday, whereas before I wasn't. So it may end up becoming a weekend project kind of deal to get it knocked out. But it is coming eventually. When I do get it done, I'll tell you guys all about it and the script and all the fun stuff. But as of right now, it's not done. But that's why. That is why I chose Fedora for this project. That's why I'm going back to Fedora with all of its fun and goodies in DNF.
Yeah, you didn't edit the episode of DL that I was on. My first time.
Nope, I did not.
So I've been a part of this network since 2019, and it was the first time I got to co-host.
Wait.
Yes.
Wait. That means they had me on the show co-hosting before Nate.
Just so it's so you understand, it's because they like you more than they like me.
That's not true. But I think that was
that is highly debatable.
So
that was the week that the robot blew up, right? So
yes, it was.
I didn't get to edit that one. That was all Michael.
So there was a comment someone put on the on there, like I'm trying to see if I can find it. Oh no, here it is. It says Nate would be a nice addition to your weekly show, and someone said, this guy Hal, he's not really sure about this one. No disrespect to Nate. When Ryan is present, the combined personal chemistry, ever-present good humor is often, revealing. It was something really nice. And so I said, I totally agree. That's my response to that person. So I totally agree. But I said, they have something very special going on here, universally enjoyable. Mm-hmm. Because it's great to be a guest.
Right.
It's great to be a guest. And I'll guest host anytime. But it's
definitely a different show when one of them is gone, for sure.
Right. So, anyway. So I agreed with them.
Check it out. Check out Nate's episode. Check out my episode on DL that will come out after this episode of LOL. It'll be fun. Catch Matt somewhere.
If they ever invite him again. I think it said when he starts being nice to me. So it'll be never.
That'll be never. Yeah.
Nope.
But I hope he's never nice to me.
No, because then it's more concerned about what's wrong.
Yeah, I'll think you have some
Right?
sort of
Are you okay, Matt?
chronic
Did
illness.
you suffer some brain trauma? Yeah.
Yeah.
I suffer brain trauma every time I record with Nate.
So you should be doing great.
Or
'cause it's
going
been
to work.
a month.
Work is a whole level. That's trauma. That's not.
Not brain trauma. That's just straight up trauma.
That is straight up repress everything kind of trauma.
Now it's your turn to toss in your 2 cents on today's topics. Hit the discourse form. Drop us a line under this video or on the contact form by visiting tuxdigital.com/contact. If you'd like to hang out with us on our preferred social media, see the links in the show description. Find other great shows like Sudo Show, Destination Linux, Linux Saloon. There you can find Nate every single Saturday, plus more at tuxdigital.com. Show off your love for your favorite podcasts and shows by visiting the Tux Digital merch store. Grab yourself some awesome swag, like the Gamer-centric I Pause My Game to Be Here shirt. Thank you very much, Matt, for pausing your game and joining us this week.
He didn't pause.
Or you can join hashtag Team Wendy with some sinister Wendy swag.
Evil.
Or not. As always, we thank you for joining us. We'll be back next time with another awesome episode of Linux Out Loud. Until then, keep the banter friendly, the conversation somewhat on topic, and have fun doing it.